Hi, I'm Jack Holly. When I'm asked what do I do, it oftentimes it takes a complicated explanation. So what I've done is I've developed a matrix that I call the EP matrix, mastering your energy to enhance your performance. This matrix is basically a two by two matrix where we look at performance and energy levels. So high performance, high energy, low performance. So we combine those to look at this matrix to see where we tend to spend most of our time. The reality is we'll bounce around between all four of these quadrants from time to time, sometimes even during the course of a day. But we want to spend more of our time in one of these quadrants and less of our time in another one of those quadrants. So let's cover those quadrants and see where you might identify yourself at today. Let's start with quadrant four. This is low energy, low performance. It is the quadrant where we just don't have the oomph to get going. And as a result, we don't get anything done. So we're always tired in this, always, not always, but oftentimes depressed when we're in this quadrant, spend too much time in this quadrant. People in this quadrant who spend a lot of time here tend to disconnect from other people. They are feeling socially isolated. Their self-care tends to suffer. So they're not exercising at least regularly. They're not eating well. They're eating a lot of junk foods, a lot of sugar, a lot of caffeine, a lot of stuff to give them some boost in energy. Um, and because of this self-care regimen and the mindset of I just don't have what it takes to get going, oftentimes we end up with some chronic health issues if we spend too much time in this quadrant. So obviously we want to avoid this as much as possible. Will we get there sometimes or to some level? Yes, most of us will, but we won't spend much time in this quadrant. Let's move to quadrant three. This is a high performance, I'm sorry, high energy, low performance quadrant. Here, we're constantly going, constantly moving. We got all this energy we got to burn off. And as a result, we can't focus on anything because we got all this energy to get rid of. So we're doing multiple things. We're all over the place. Some people might call that ADD or ADHD. So we have this lack of focus. We're easily distracted. People in this who spend a lot of time in this quadrant can also get obsessive compulsive with the hustle, constantly going, constantly moving, constantly trying to accomplish something, but they're not focused enough to actually accomplish anything. So they end up feeling frustrated, overwhelmed, unfulfilled because, yeah, they might be getting a lot done, but none of it means anything, or very little of it means anything. And because of that lack of ability to focus, they tend to have a lack of ability to be present in their relationships. So a lot of the relationships become shallow, strained, or worse sometimes. And I don't have it on here, but their self care tends to be spotty too. A lot of starts and stops, starts and stops. I'll exercise, do that for 2 days, and then stop because I'm sore and stiff now. So I'm not going to exercise anymore. And there's just all this energy going, but nothing is being really accomplished with this quadrant. Quadrant two, these people who spend a lot of time in quadrant two tend to be struggling. They know they can be better. They have this low energy, but they're really high performance people. So they're driven to perform. They just don't have the energy to stay consistent with that performance. They tend to be multitaskers too, just like in quadrant three. But the difference is they're multitasking because something is going to give them, something's going to break. They're going to accomplish something because they have to accomplish something even when they don't feel like it. People in this quadrant, part of the reason they don't feel like it, part of the reason they're in this quadrant is they're not really aware of what's draining their energy, what's taking their energy away from them. Is Are there certain people that are draining them? Are there certain situations? Are there certain foods that cause an energy problem and with them that keep them kind of struggling to get into this high energy, high performance quadrant? Speaking of that, the high performance, high energy quadrant, I call it the zone. People who spend a lot of time in this quadrant are hyper focused. They're laser focused. They focus on one important thing. They're not multitaskers. They know that the brain only works on one thing at a time. So they work on one thing at a time until it's done and then move on to the next thing. as a result, being that laser focus, they tend to get a lot more done in a lot less time than anybody in the other three quadrants. Also, people in this quadrant also take time for self-care. They schedule in their workouts. They know when they're going to eat. They watch their diet. They make sure they avoid the foods and things that drain their energy or give them temporary energy and then a drop later on. Um, as a result, they tend to experience some vibrant health. They tend to be very healthy individuals. The relationships also tend to be healthy, vibrant relationships. They're energetic. They feed off of each other. They feed off the people around them. They provide energy to them, and they receive energy from those people. They tend to avoid the people, situations, circumstances, behaviors that drain their energy. Now, here's the realistic expectation of this. We'll bounce around between all these quadrants, but most of the time we can, through insight, through awareness, and through some tips and strategies, we can spend the vast majority of our time in quadrant 1 and quadrant 2, avoiding quadrant 3 and quadrant 4. And if we do fall into those, we've got the tips and strategies and ability to recognize that we're falling into those and get out of them and get back up into at least quadrant 2, so that we can maintain that high energy or the high performance and higher levels of energy. So here's a quick overview of the four again. The quadrant 1, the zone, high performance, high energy. That's where we get most things done. Most of us will have times during the day where we recognize that this is my peak time. This is when I have the most energy. This is when I'm the most creative. This is when I need to be focused on that one thing that's going to make a difference today. When we're in quadrant 2, we're kind of struggling with that energy level. We know we need to get something done. We just don't have the energy for it. It may be that that's a low peak time for us during the day, and we need to recognize that and schedule that task for a time when we have higher energy levels. Or it may just be that we've done some things, we're allowing some things to drain our energy, we're distracted, we're getting our attention away from maintaining our energy and focus. Hence, we struggle there. Quadrant 3, this is the gotta go, gotta go, gotta go, gotta keep moving, gotta keep going. The brain keeps moving, it doesn't shut off. So it interrupts our sleep, and interrupts our ability to focus, ability to actually get things done. So we start a lot of things, but we don't finish much. And then quadrant 4, we don't even want to start the things because we're so tired all the time. I like to say we're tired of being tired. So if you find yourself in quadrant 4, you need to take some immediate action, get yourself out of that, and start moving up into a little bit higher energy, more focused situation in your life. So now that we've seen an overview of these and a little bit deeper into each one of these, let me ask you, which quadrant do you see yourself in? I'm sure that as I was going through the quadrants, one of those or two of those kind of jumped out at you and said, oh yeah, that's where I'm at. One of them or two of them might have said, yeah, I wish I could get there. Okay, so where do you see yourself at? Take a good hard look in the mirror. Be honest with yourself. Which quadrant do you see yourself in right now? Got it? Okay, so what do? I work with people who are mostly in quadrant 2. That's where most of my clients are. They are high performance or want to be high performance. They're just struggling with the energy levels to keep that performance going. So we need to develop some insights into where's the energy going that I should have. How come I don't have that energy? How come I can't recreate that energy through sleep, through exercise, through some other lifestyle behaviors? And how can I maintain that consistently so that I can get consistent results? I also work with people in quadrant 1. People in quadrant 1 are very successful, they're very focused, they're highly productive people, but they want to get better. They know they can manage their energy and their time better. They know they can be more productive, get more done in less time. So they have more time for their quality relationships. They have more time for the lifestyle they want to build. So if you find yourself in either of those quadrants, let me encourage you to reach out and let's have a chat, see what we can do to help you. Especially if you're in quadrant 2. we should talk about how I can help you get into quadrant one more often. Are you going to stay in quadrant one? No. Remember, I said we shift between all of those levels, but we want to spend the majority of our time in quadrant one. That's where we have an energetic, successful life and business, especially one that you want and deserve, right? If you're in quadrant one, but you know you can be better at managing your energy, let's have a talk too. Maybe I can help you raise your energy levels, be more consistent with your energy levels, be more productive, more focused, and get more done in less time. How do we do that? Simply go to my website, jackholly.coach, or if you're watching this on the website, just go up to the top of the page. Up there is a book a call button. Click on that. You'll be able to schedule a no obligation complimentary coaching session with me. This is a 50-minute session where we'll identify one or two of your energy drains, one or two of the activities that may be holding you back from accomplishing, from being that high performance, high energy person that you are, and give you a couple of tips and strategies to help overcome those energy drains so that you can be more consistent with spending more time in that quadrant one level. Again, go to my website, jackholly.coach. Up on the top of the page is a book a call button. It's also at the bottom of the page. Go ahead, click on that, schedule a time. Let's chat.